Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast with Blaha. And I'm having Greek yogurt, frozen blueberries, and almond butter. All right, let's talk a little bit about the problem with low-fat bulking. And this tends to be very popular in more heavily enhanced circles. And I think what we need to think about here is that even for those particular demographics, it's probably very, very unwise because of potential vitamin and mineral deficiencies. But that's really our issue we have. We always get people, and again, I'm guilty of this, of stating in the past in videos that hypothetically, because humans have very, very low, if almost zero rates of de novo lipogenesis, we do not store carbohydrate as fat. And if we drop our dietary fat really, really low in bulking and focus more on carbohydrate, we'll probably get a better anabolic response and less fat gain. Here's our issue with that. Number one, we don't need that much of an insulin response, right? I mean, insulin's very anabolic, but the more muscle we have, the harder we train, things like that, our sensitivity to it goes up anyways. And if we're already getting carbohydrate and protein, adding more may not have an anabolic effect. Okay, here's the other issue with that. Everyone's sitting here saying, oh, can I maximize my muscle gain versus fat? Well, you can do that with calories, okay? And we need to have the point be made very, very, very clear here. You are not going to make lean gains, all right? That is a myth. I mean, you'll even see Dr. Mike Israetel over at Renaissance Periodization discussing nutrition, and he'll tell you lean gain is a myth. It doesn't happen. The people who pull it off are either completely rank novices, and had they gained fat, they would have gained twice as much muscle, and they could have just spent 3 weeks dieting it off later. It hurt their gains to have done it. People who just started using anabolics, everyone says, well, that guy blew up kind of lean. It was his first cycle. Not going to happen on his third one. Or they seriously upped their dose. Or someone who had heavily detrained, that's your other group too. But here's the thing that we run into. In every single one of these cases, had they gained a little bit of body fat and been willing to, they would have gained significantly more muscle, okay? They would have gained significantly more. So here's the thing we run into. Number one, you shouldn't be trying to make lean gains. You're going to cut the muscle growth in half by trying to do so. You're just simply going to gain less muscle, all right? Now, if you just want to keep the body fat gain at a reasonable level, there's an easier solution here. That solution is to just not bulk as hard. Right? Don't do a sloppy bulk. Don't bulk till you get to 25% body fat. I mean, it's just not that hard, right? So if you're needing to gain weight, if you need 3,500 calories to maintain, why don't you bulk 400 instead of 4,500? There you go, you'll gain less fat. But this idea that you think you're going to gain zero fat, best of luck with that. So let's come over to why we have problems here. We need fats. We need fats in our diet. And I, again, have a history of running my dietary fat sometimes lower than I should. And I've gotten into the realization that I'm hurting my recovery by doing so. Because even cutting right now, I'm eating at least 60 grams of fat a day, minimum. Some days more. Almond butter, listed here, is my primary fat source. It's not my only one. I eat some walnuts and things like that. Some of my other plants, but almond butter. Now, why are we doing this? For vitamins. We obviously need essential fatty acids, and I don't think a supplement's the best way to do that. Right? We need essential fatty acids. And polyunsaturated fats, again, as long as you're not deficient, the omega-3 side, are generally very, very healthy for us. I'm not talking about damaged ones from deep frying a bunch of vegetable oils, but I'm talking about found in your foods. And that's something that we have to think about. We have to think about the heart health end. And we have to think about the vitamins involved with lower versus higher fat diets. If we run a very low fat diet, even if we're getting sufficient vitamins and minerals, micronutrients in our diet, we may not be absorbing them in the rates that we need for health. Okay, it's very easy, for example, to start to develop like a vitamin E deficiency because number one, you may not be getting enough vitamin E if you're eating a very low fat diet. Almonds, again, ultra high source. That's the reason I use it. But your absorption is lower. Your absorption is lower of vitamin A, vitamin D, E, and K. Okay. You see the problem here? Especially the enhanced guys. Vitamin K. I supplement vitamin K and D. You get deficient in vitamin D. Easy enough to fix. It's easy to supplement, but you need fat to absorb it. Or you get enough sunlight, you're good. Vitamin D deficiencies can be problematic for heart health. Vitamin K deficiency absolutely is. And again, vitamin K, particularly K2, has been the one vitamin that's been found to reduce atherosclerosis. Reduces atherosclerosis. We come over and start looking at heart health. That matters a lot. Matters a lot. Tremendously important. So again, if fat's too low, we're not absorbing enough of these. If we're not absorbing our fat-soluble vitamins and we don't have them in optimal intakes, are we going to optimize muscle growth? I mean, I've noticed that for me, my recovery and stuff is enhanced. When I'm eating more fats from nuts and things and I'm getting good absorption of all these vitamins and minerals, particularly fat-soluble vitamins, I'm noticing my recovery is better. My joints actually feel better. My joints feel better. I can train with higher workloads before I start getting things like hip inflammation, right? Or shoulder inflammation. Right? It matters. And as much as I want to say, oh man, we need carbohydrate, the recovery end matters. If anything, most of us eat too much protein. And again, I do not advocate low protein diets where people jump up and say I sound vegan. No, I believe that we need animal source protein to maximize recovery and results, and we need significant amounts of it. We don't need a gram or more per pound of body weight. The maximum muscle growth that's ever been found is 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. For me, that's just over 150 grams of protein, right? So around 155, 156. Well, and I try to get that from animal source. That's what I shoot for. I try to hit my protein minimum need from animal source protein, and I don't worry about the rest of it. I don't worry about the inconsequential amounts. The lower bioavailability proteins in my plants, I just don't care about it. I try to hit that from animal source. Again, Greek yogurt being a primary staple for me. We need plenty of carbohydrate. But we can take some of that protein out and use it towards things like higher quality dietary fat. And again, I'm not telling people to necessarily, unless you have to, do a bunch of whole milk or dairy fat. Dairy fat is not that great of a fat source, to be honest. Not that great in terms of vitamins, minerals, health. I don't think it's bad. It's less good. It's less good. Because again, if we're talking about recovery, we're talking about health, all these other things, these other fats are better. Again, polyunsaturated, monounsaturated fats, that's really what we need to be taking in. And when we start looking at heart health, even when dietary carbohydrate is replaced with polyunsaturated fats, lipid profiles improve. Cardiovascular health outcomes improve. So let's come over and think of this for the more advanced lifter, longer term, middle-aged lifter. A big chunk of my audience are middle-aged guys. I get a lot of clients who are 35 and over. This is really what we need to be bulking on. In other words, eat some natural peanut butter. That's what I'm saying, guys, or some natural almond butter, or other nuts, avocados, right? I wouldn't necessarily go for extra virgin olive oil. Or why? Because a lot of it's not really extra virgin olive oil. But these other things are great choices. Natural peanut butter, almond butter, you can eat walnuts, pecans, hazelnuts, awesome choices. Avocados. These are all high quality fats. They improve health markers. They will help you get the fat soluble vitamins that you need in your diet. They will facilitate things like better joint health and recovery. They'll facilitate better heart health. So things that we need to think about with these bulks, rather than trying to say, well, if I maximize these things in my macronutrients, I can get a better muscle to fat ratio. Well, if you're not recovering maximally due to not having optimal micronutrient intake, you're not recovering. You're not gaining maximum muscle anyways. So forget that point. Just bulk slower. That's your solution. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.